got to figure, as a captain, the hero pools are generally very similar across the board. So I don't think the draft is really going to be affected too much by the knowledge that Mowgli is going to be starting. It's going to be a pedal ban, though, for G2. Taking that off the board right away means that Blackfeather and Rhyme now will be both available because of that Krull.
Absolutely. We said that maybe the Krull could be a focus during this series, and already banned away due to that petal ban, but Lyra will be the pickup, not going for that Rhyme in this one. Dynasty not wanting to be too aggressive in the jungle.
Yeah, and giving Black for the over, in my opinion, as I talked about it earlier, is so dangerous with how Hundor showed up on it also last week. G2 Esports, that pick for them is going to be huge, and they can flex it easily. The Lyra pick for Dynasty is something that Mowgli plays a lot. He's played in the past so much of it, especially when it comes to siege and composition they used to run. So it's a pick that is more comfortable for Mowgli.
Alpha will be locked in here for Riku Meza. So strong jungler locked on in for Dynasty. Honestly, very strong composition so far, but we'll see how they can develop that one and what they'll grab for the lane to finish that one out. G2 Esports, they've got the Blackfeather. We saw Hundor on that last week. We've also seen Dark Potato play that in the past, so very comfortable flex and just a very strong pick in general. But now they have to decide what they want to run in a composition alongside that. There's things like the Catherine Batiste available. There's a few different options, and it can fit into so many playstyles.
So what I expect here is they're either going to go for a CP Fortress and play Blackfeather in lane, play a composition they played last week, or they're going to put the Blackfeather into jungle just so that they have a somewhat even of a matchup, the Blackfeather versus the Alpha, so that, as we talked about, Dark Potato is not weaker in the early game, and then pick up the Kestrel in lane. But it is going to be the Catherine Batiste. Nice call, Munchables.
Well, they are going to grab that one. This is something that we've seen out of G2 like last season. This was a real favorite composition. To be honest, it was a favorite composition for just about everyone.
Composition last season, but you know, it's still a very strong combo. You have a lot of lockdown, especially against the Alpha. We've talked about Batiste into Alpha and being able to use your Ordained, stopping her in her tracks when she tries to use Prime Directive or Core Overloads, and then you can use Fearsome Shade once she uses her ultimate to just push her away and prevent her from being able to get that massive impact that the Termination Protocol can provide. So I like the pickup there. Dynasty going to go for a Rona with the Batiste and Catherine already selected. This is a pick that could be fairly risky, but it is still into the Blackfeather, which is why they wanted it to be that counter. It also puts PT Lamb onto a melee hero.
Yep.
This is what I was talking about, was his core heroes when he was a dominant laner in Europe. It was all these melee heroes, these brawlers that he was playing that looked so good.
Yeah, and we have now PT Lamb against Hundor in a melee matchup in the lane in Blackfeather versus Rona as well. This is a hype matchup for the lane.
Yeah, I mean, it's a matchup that can definitely go in the favor of Rona, but at the same time, going up against all the CC is going to be on G2. How well they use their CC to shut down the Rona every time she uses her Red Mist. The Catherine, Merciless Pursuit to lock her down, and then the Batiste, Fearsome Shades, and the Ordains. It's all in G2. If they execute well, they can definitely shut down the Rona.
All right, well, it's time to jump on into this one. It's time to kick off our second quarterfinal and see if G2 can match SK and move on to the semi-finals themselves. Make sure to get involved in the conversation and let us know who you are supporting. Can Dynasty have a last-minute surge and avoid the challenge battles? Or is it going to be G2 moving on into our semi-finals? Get in touch with us using that hashtag Vainglory8 and let us know who you are supporting. You can let us know who you're supporting in the client as well. Make sure that you're tweeting out pictures of your badges in-game on those loading screens. But this is going to be an incredibly exciting series coming through in our quarterfinals. Cannot wait to kick this one off and find out who is going to be moving to our semifinals against SK Gaming. It's about time that we passed it over to our casters and get on into this one. Or the game is just going to be loading for us, but make sure to tweet out the game. Make sure to let everyone know that you're watching. It's Jaws and Sean Ostino to take this one away.
Thank you very much, guys. Once again, G2 versus Dynasty. Sean Ostino, we've seen upsets before, and G2 need to make it for their hope. And, well, for their fans as well, for the hope to make it to Worlds in Singapore. But Dynasty need to avoid relegations. There's so much on the line with this match.
Yeah, there is so much on the line, Jaws. G2, they're trying to make it to the finals here. If they're able to make it to the finals, it's going to be huge, because then they have the potential to overtake SK and really make it here. We've seen when SK and G2 have gone against each other, it could go either way. And the way that G2 has been closing the points, getting closer and closer to SK, it's something to behold and to be amazed by. I feel like G2 here, they have a lot of really good win conditions going for them. We just need to have Black Feather scale to late game. We got to have him dive too. He's going to be able to execute. We've talked so much about how Black Feather is just so strong this patch, and if he's able to execute low health targets, then it's going to be really easy for him. Recomeza goes in.
Oh, nice prime directed by Recomeza, hitting all three members of G2, although Hundor's going extremely low, has to pop the flask, still cutting back. Dark Potatoes with those bad mojos are going to slow up Dynasty for the time being. They heavily lose that trade, and they will forfeit that Elder Treant as well.
Yeah, really smartly done by Dynasty, just coming in and forcing G2 out of the jungle to rotate up, and doing so, they were able to take that extra experience and gold that they need from that Elder Treant, and that puts them a couple hundred gold up. You know, it's still pretty close with the lane matchup here. They're really evening it up very, very quickly. But Baptiste and Catherine, this is a really huge combo that in previous patches has been very, very strong. A lot of lockdown potential here. And of course, if Keanu Nukoa is able to get a lot of merciless pursuits down, stun up targets, then we're going to be able to see really good, beefy looking Catherine here late game.
And not only will Catherine be pretty beefy, but Dark Potatoes build will be pretty beefy as well when you think about it. There's two very good Echo users on the side of G2, that be the Catherine and that be also the Baptiste. Now, if they do manage to get to that situation, or if Dynasty have managed to find themselves in that situation where G2 have two Echoes, double Blast Tremor, double Fearsome Shade, are they ever going to be able to block everything? It doesn't seem so, and Hundor's going to have an easy time, you must imagine, just executing these targets.
Yeah, I feel like this is kind of a protect the Hundor composition. Oh, Dark Potatoes getting a crest on.
Yeah, he is. Bad Mojo and the Ordain will be there. And in fact, there will be Keanu Nukoa just to rotate down also. Nice stun onto Recomeza. There is the Ordained also to lock him in place. Nice prime directive once more to hit two members. But G2, they have the safety of their turret. Almost not for long there. Mowgli almost found the last basic attack. Keanu Nukoa going extremely low. Recomeza once first blood, couldn't quite find it. The Treant didn't lock them up either. And Hundor with the late rotation will once again forfeit some of their jungle.
Once again, we're seeing Dynasty just pressure the jungle really well. Going to your point about the double echoes, I wouldn't necessarily see Dark Potato pick up an echo because he is a jungle carry. It would reduce his damage output for his CP power. But you know, it still could be the case if he does pick that up. Yeah, that would be a lot of crowd control that Dynasty is going to have to block out, and that means that they would just have to pick up reflex blocks and a crucible across the board. However, yeah, we do see if we do have Keanu Nukoa pick up an Echo late game, then we're just going to have to watch out for that double Blast Tremor, even double Merciless Pursuits that could just continue to lock down targets on the side of Dynasty. And with them being primarily a dive comp here, Kumeza and PT Lam want to dive in. They're melee heroes. They want to be able to get in there and do some serious damage. If they're not able to do that because they're being locked down by Chain CC coming out of the side of G2, it's going to be a really difficult time for them to find a win condition.
Well, their economy's hurting a little bit at the moment, G2's that is. Dynasty are moving towards this first tier 1 turret. Nice stun onto Recomeza, and that'll be an out of the fray used by PT Lam. Nice use of the A there, Recomeza, just to get the smallest amount of distance possible and a little bit of damage. Core charge does down onto Dark Potato. There's the Ordain as well. Recomeza pops into the passive. He's gonna go for that reset, but I don't think it's gonna be enough. Hundor finds first blood. That execution potential on Recomeza when he's down like that was too much.
Oh, it's so good, and Hundor is so healthy still. And we have Dark Potato now just going into the jungle, and now they're stealing, now they're capitalizing on that death that they actually forced coming out of the other side, out of Dynasty Gaming. Really well done. They just pushed that wave up. We do see a Poison Shiv already picked up by Hundor. That's a pretty good power spike for him, the first tier 3 item that we've seen other than the Fountain by Keanu Nukoa. And Dark Potato working towards the Shatter Glass, I would imagine, so that he can get some more burst damage coming out of those bad mojos. And we also see Fountain picked up by Mowgli, so a lot of sustain from the side of Dynasty. The question is, will they be able to further sustain? We do see a Serpent's Mask also picked up by PT Lamb, and that's going to allow him for some a little bit of weapon power damage, you know, and lifesteal. I would imagine next. Oh, well,
Dynasty
they're going in.
for an engage, though. There's the bright bulwark to just stop G2 from instantly escaping. Only a little bit of damage landed onto the Catherine, and a little bit onto Hundor as well. Nice flank potential, but Dark Potato wasn't there either. He was actually picking up a Shatterglass, so they don't actually end up securing anything whatsoever. And now it would just be the lane priority and the lane shove here from G2 just to make sure they don't get turret dove.
I would imagine PT Lamb's next item would be Breaking Point. A little poke there coming out of Hundor. But, yeah, things are looking pretty good for G2 now. They're starting to swing the other way, and PT Lamb's getting aggressed on.
Yeah, that's an ordained, but an out of the fray will end up landing, or at least landing away from the fight. G2 now putting pressure on Dynasty on their turrets. And what's quite exciting about this game specifically, Sean Ostino, is the fact that a lot of these top teams are able to take games off each other. These last couple of weeks have been such a mix-up, with Esports taking SK, for example, to a 2-0. And Dynasty, I do believe they have what is in them to actually take G2 as well to a game number 3. I mean, they have been lackluster. You could say that Crystal, that gold century, that gold miner even will go over to G2 in the end, but the turret will get destroyed meanwhile. Mowgli will end up just retreating, and that's going to be a nice little chunk of change for both teams. But like I was saying, that G2, they were a little bit lackluster at the start of the season, with SK really just launching themselves ahead of the competition. But Dynasty do have a real shot here, and they kind of need to as well to avoid those challenge battles.
They definitely do have a real shot. If they could just keep up the aggression. They had a little bit of that aggression early game, stealing away that Treant, but we do see an Aftershock actually picked up by Rekumeza, and that's a pretty good power spike for this alpha. We're going to be able to see a lot, quite a bit of damage, bonus damage procced by that item. We're going to see a little bit of lifesteal, and we know that alpha has essentially 2 health bars and could go in and just infinite reboot if she is caught out a little bit. We do see a Breaking Point actually picked up by Hundor, and that's his second weapon power item, Power Spike, and they could be looking for a fight now. Yeah, that's exactly what they are doing. They're doing a pin Rekumeza in, but Dark Potato going extremely low, takes a Prime Directive, but that was completely silenced as well. Hundor in a lot of trouble, is on the back line, but that poke potential coming through is massive. Spin to win on PT Lamb, is trying to cut up Hundor, but they already managed to take out the Alpha. Rekumeza is going to fall, didn't even pop that Termination Protocol, just did not have time. Dark Potato chasing Mowgli around. G2 find one, but what else can they find off the back of this? Oh man, this turret is going down so low, and you can see the bad mojos already doing so much work, and they're not finished.
And they're not. That is another spin to win from PT Lamb. That red mist is going to dissuade G2 for the time being. They only managed to take that turret down to about half HP, with Rekumeza recently spawning as well. So it's G2 now just doing cleanup, just taking some of the fronts here of Dynasty's jungle.
G2 really prioritizing taking out this alpha. They know she can go in and do so much work, but so can PT Lamb on this Rona. However, we did see a fearsome shade in that last team fight in the jungle actually fear Rekumeza into the wall, and because he was feared into the wall, he wasn't able to do much. If you don't have if you have 0 damage output coming out of this alpha, then the alpha is going to be a mute point in these team fights. And additionally, when you burst her down, we saw Hundor continue to hit her while she was in her infinite reboot. Doing that, taking her down before she's able to get back and do more damage, Alpha is really not worth having around in these team fights. They've got to have Rekumeza stay alive, and they're still going in.
They are. That turret is going to fall. Hundor just committing himself fully to that one. Rekumeza is going to follow that with a Prime Directive on the 3 members. Hundor taking the brunt of that damage. There's the red mist going to separate the team, but the fearsome shade knocks them all back. Termination Protocol opened up, and Hundor dashes out the way with a Rhodes offensive. Now Dark Potato is in the 1v1 between Rikumeza's lifeless body, but he ends up getting up anyway. A 1-for-1 trade for the time being, but G2, they end up capitalizing with 2 kills, and now it's only Mowgli. No energy at all, and Keanu Nakoa and Dark Potato are just going to be able to run and gun him down. That will be G2 eventually finding the ace if Dark Potato can land one more bad mojo. Not quite enough, as he ends up popping the flask in the end, so no ace for them just yet.
Oh, it got away, but it feels pretty good if you are G2 right now. And their target prioritization is so smart, Jaws. They're able to burst down Ricomeza, and once the infinite reboot is going into sequence, they have 4 seconds to go focus another target. Focusing PT Lam in that 4 seconds is what they needed to do in that team fight, taking them out and leaving only Mowgli left. Really smartly done. If we can just see G2 continue to have team fights like that, they're probably going to be pushing this game to a W, and looks like they're going in.
Well, they're going in yet again. Another fearsome shade is available to Dark Potato. There it goes. Ripples through Ricomeza, but Hundor is just isolated Mowgli. He ends up going down, and now it's a 2v3. That massive immortal wound just prevented so much of PT Lam's healing, and now Ricomeza activating the termination protocol, but it's too little too late for Dynasty Gaming. They get aced eventually, and that'll be G2 taking the gold miner.
Oh, Dark Potato, he's doing so good right now. Those bad mojos, they're not necessarily executing because we have Hundor doing a lot of the work here. He's got 5 and 1 right now. But Dark Potato throwing out these bad mojos. We're seeing 588 damage on those suckers. It's just amazing. And now they're going to be able to take the gold mine for themselves. And the ace wave is going to be cleaned up by PT Lam. But 7 and 1 right now at 11 minutes 40 seconds in. Things are looking really good with a 6,000 or 4,000 gold lead rather for G2. Very, very strong.
There's the replay there, and you can see, look at Ricomeza just trying all his might to kill Keanu Nakoa. But like you said, Dark Potato, his damage is really starting to rack up, and it's something Ricomeza is going to have to start fearing. Maybe a little bit of defensive itemization is in the need for Dynasty right now.
Yeah, things are really, really looking good for G2. We do have a breaking point actually come out for PT Lam, so that's one of those item power spikes for Rona, where she's gonna be able to just ramp up a lot of weapon power damage in the middle of these team fights. With the red mist now online for her, she's actually invested 2 points into that. It's going to be doing some serious damage and getting some really good fortified health. So that's something that G2 is just going to have to watch out for. And it looks like they're going a little bit sneaky right here, but they get flared out.
Yep, sneaky, although PT Lam wants to jump straight into the fray. Ricomeza finds the 2-man with the Prime Directive, with the Fearsome Shade, scares him away yet again. A double blast tremor will ripple through Dynasty Gaming, all completely silenced up, but Ricomeza still wants to fight. Hundor found himself on the back line, and PT Lam ends up just chewing him up. Dark Potato trying all he might to try and kill Ricomeza when he's in that infinite reboot, but the damage wasn't quite enough. That passageway will just send Keanu Nakoa back to where he came from, and Dynasty Gaming, he'll find the Prime Directive over the wall, and Ricomeza, not quite done, is going to be able to find the core charge. Another Prime Directive will finish him off, and that'll be a reverse ace for Dynasty Gaming and a gold miner for them as well.
Oh, that is the thing. When you let a Rona and an Alpha survive during these team fights, they can just output so much damage. And you saw there that T-Lam had his health bar down so low. This gold miner's going over to them.
Collected.
Decent gold payout for Dynasty Gaming, but PT Lam was on a sliver of health, still sustained, and that's the name of the game here in 2.9, sustain. And we have this Lyra who's able to output the heal with those Imperial Sigils. We have the infinite reboot able to come out of Ricomeza. We have PT Lam able to sustain with fortified health through those red mists. It's just such an amazing thing to see Rona in the middle of these team fights spin to win, like you've been saying, Jaws, and just be able to continue to survive and output damage. We still see a gold lead, about 4,000, 3,500 gold lead for G2 right now. They lost that last team fight, and it got a little bit messy, but they could still clean it up and continue to push. 39 Captain of the Guard stacks for Keanu Nakoa. He is looking really tanky on this Catherine.
Exactly what it needs to be. Just survive the fight, but he needs to be able to assist his team as well. That Echo is becoming in mighty clutch as well for him. You can see the layering G2 have, and it shows their prowess as a team and just how and why they are so dominant in EU. They're using that Blast Tremor to engage the fight, and then as soon as that wears off, Fearsome Shade straight into another Blast Tremor. They want to go for an engage. That'll be Ricomeza actually taking a core charge to Keanu Nakoa for that. There's the Blast Tremor to start off the entire engagement. A Red Mist into the Fearsome Shade, into another Blast Tremor, and that'll be PT Lam with nothing left to do, ends up going down. A termination protocol could not be found either from Ricomeza, and the execution damage from Hundor will finish him off. A nice Merciless Pursuit stun straight on to Mowgli, and that'll take him out as well. That'll be G2 finding yet another ace, and they're going to be able to break open the base at 15 minutes.
That time they had it right, Jaws. Taking out PT Lamb, focusing next on Rekameza, and getting that beautiful merciless pursuit right at the end, right when Mowgli was about to get under turret. Oh man, it's a nicely done ace, and they're going to be able to capitalize on this. Take the Kraken for their troubles, and with the Kraken being on the leash, it's going to be very, very difficult for Dynasty Gaming to be able to take a win away from this. There's only 2 crystal turrets remaining in the base, and we've got 10-4 and 5,000, nearly 6,000 gold lead for G2. Things are looking really good for them. We have 4 weapon power items on Hundor as well. He's just practically he doesn't have any boots. He's just going in there just doing tons of damage as this Black Feather.
You don't need boots when they're right up in your face. Exactly what PT Lamb wants to do. Another fearsome shade will just instantly kill him. There's nothing you can do against that. Dynasty, where are they dropping to here? They're going to be sent once again to the grave. Mowgli's going to fall. G2 with the ace. I've got a feeling, Sean Ostino, once again, we're going to have a win on a first Kraken push. 16 minutes on the clock. The death timers aren't looking too pretty. G2 looking for the win.
Yeah, they're gonna, if they're split the damage between these 2 turrets, or you know what, death timers are high enough, it doesn't matter, they're gonna be able to take the win here. Really well done with the fearsome shades coming out of Dark Potato. He's just able to fear away Rona every time, and Rona wants to be in the middle of the fight. Oh my goodness, G2 looking so strong, tons of momentum going into game 2 here. A lot of credit to Dark Potato for those fearsome shades, getting 9 assists and so much damage output too out of the bad mojos as well. That facilitated and allowed Hundor to just execute enemies down, take out the members of Dynasty, and well done by G2.
G2, like SK, stepping ever closer to that goal of winning a spot Worlds over in Singapore. G2 with a match point win here against Dynasty. What are Dynasty going to do to bounce back from that one? We don't know. We'll have to wait for the draft in game number 2. But right now, we'll throw it over to the desk where they can break down that win for G2.
Well, SK managed to get themselves a 17.5-minute win, and G2, they've done it in 16:50, so ever so slightly quicker on this one, but proving in game number 1 that they were the stronger team here today, and a fantastic performance coming out from them as well. Looking good in this series after, a little bit of back and forth before the game actually started, but G2 definitely looking like they're on point here.
Yeah, I mean, these 2 teams are the top 2 in the region for a reason. They are clearly head and shoulders above the rest of the teams in all of Europe, and games like this are just what really showcase that.
Yeah, I mean, Dynasty actually had a really good early game. They even invaded and got a kill, and they stole the entire jungle away from Batiste, but then they stopped playing aggressive. At first I thought, okay, Dynasty are showing up. They're playing like they don't have anything to lose. They do have something to lose, and they ended up losing that match off of not such a great performance.
Yeah, it's all about being able to maintain that aggression and keep that lead rolling. Now, we can take a look at our first replay just beyond the 10-minute mark, and this was when G2 managed to grab themselves their first ace of the game.
Yeah, and at this point, G2 had started to take control of this game back already. They're able to isolate Mowgli from the rest of his team, and when you take the captain down first, it just makes it so difficult for the other 2 carries to get the damage down if they haven't already gotten targets low, because now they don't have that, the fail-safe of a captain to be able to help keep them alive during the skirmish. So G2 doing a really good job of noticing that Mowgli was slightly out of position and going all in onto him and then cleaning up the rest of the fight afterwards.
Yeah, the Poison Shiv also picked up by the Black Feather as a first item. I really love the itemization coming up from Hundor. You don't always have to go for the Serpent's Mask, but the Poison Shiv still give you sustain in lane because it has the Barbel Needle, but it also gives you the Mortal Wounds that reduce the sustain coming out from both Lyra and Rona. That's what allowed him to focus the Lyra down very effectively because she can't heal herself back up as effectively as she usually does. So great itemization from Hundor and taking that teamfight very decisively.
Yeah, absolutely. But then a couple of minutes later on into the game, the next teamfight was not as decisive for G2, and in fact, it went the way of Dynasty. This was the moment of hope for Dynasty fans.
Yeah, this was because of the target focus they had won for, and it didn't seem like they had the same synergy they did with the rest of their team fights, G2. So Rona being able to continue on using her Red Mist on multiple targets, stacking her breaking point, and Alpha dealing the damage throughout the entirety of the teamfight as well. She went down in the reboot status, but she came back alive. And once that happens, if you're spending so much time focusing the alpha down and she still survives, it's going to be a very rough spot for you.
Absolutely. And PT Lam went all the way down to 8 health in that fight as well. Incredibly close. And now we can take a look at our final fight as well, which was G2. Rounding things out, unfortunately, that was the only fight that Dynasty managed to take in this one, and the rest of the story was a G2 story.
Yeah, they tried to go aggressive here, tried to make the play to try and stop this Kraken push, but unfortunately, Riku Mesa and PT Lam, they both just get focused down and annihilated in those fights. A beautiful fearsome shade from Dark Potato kind of pushed everyone into that wall, and then they were able to just blow them up, really, with the Bad Mojos and, of course, Hundor on this Black Feather. This is the second week now that we've seen Hundor take this Black Feather and really put on a performance with it.
Lyra also, on Mowgli on Lyra, not using his fountain there during that team fight to help his carry stay alive for longer. It's very obvious that he's not as practiced after that showing, something we talked about during the draft. But also, G2, whenever they use their CC correctly against the Rona, the Merciless Pursuit, we talked about the fearsome shades to push her away every single time she uses her red mist. It worked out perfectly for them. And the itemization also from Dark Potato going for a clockwork into an echo, meaning that he has more and more CC. He's going to be able to refresh those abilities very effectively. So great job by G2. Closing out the first game, now going into the second one.
Absolutely, and we need to start to talk about the draft for that second game as well. Obviously, Hundor managing to get that Black Feather in game one was absolutely superb, and we can take a look at the damage, and I'm pretty sure that Black Feather is going to be up there. Hundor topping the table there with Dark Potato in second.
And again, you see, Rona normally is so high up on the damage charts, but members of G2 just did such a good job of ensuring that she wasn't able to have the same level of impact that we typically see out of this hero pick.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, it was a G2 story for game number one, but it's time to talk about game number two. And Mowgli is going to be subbed out and Scheffler Shout coming back on into the roster. Apparently the game update has gone on through now, so they're going to be swapping back around. And it's time to start to talk about the draft. G2 will be on the B side now, so it feels like the Black Feather pick, much less likely of a scenario this time around.
Yeah, and the fact that they're making this substitution even after game one kind of goes to show that the team just feels more confident with Chef in there. It's likely who they've been practicing with all week long, and so we'll see if it does have a significant impact on the game itself.
I like the Black Feather ban coming out from G2 Esports. It's just too strong of a pick to give it over. If your opponents first pick the Cruel or the Rhyme after you ban the Black Feather, you still can play around those heroes technically. And there are ways. It's a lot easier than playing against the Black Feather.
Well, Krull and Petal are going to be the two picks there, so definitely a likely jungle-focused game with those two being the focus. It was actually G2 that banned the Krull away from Dynasty in game number one, so definitely a pick that Riku Meza is wanting to get his hands on, but G2, and again, with the Petal pick, I like this pickup early in the draft because of the fact that they can wait and see if Dynasty doesn't draft a lot of AoE, then they can just run this as a Crystal Petal. Otherwise, they can flex it into the Weapon Petal.
Honestly, it's very interesting to see this pick being prioritized as much as it has been so far, both in this series and last one with SK. G2 first picking it first rotation on B side. I feel like it's a scrim meta type of thing where SK and G2 may be practicing against one another, figuring out that this pick is very strong and trying to prioritize it more. Again, just because it's both CP, can be flex CP and weapon power, it's possible. But at the same time, it's unlikely that they've been practicing against one another just because they're competing against one another.
It makes a lot of sense to me to see it because we have been seeing it so much more frequently over in North America. We've been seeing the level of success that this Petal pick has been able to have as the weapon Petal. So I think teams are more willing to grab it now because of the fact that you can run it as a weapon carry and still have immense amounts of success with it. So that's going to be the Catherine. Now, the Baptiste is available. If Dynasty is not take it here, they could be giving that over. And it's not likely that Baptiste comes through when you already have a Krull.
Yeah, very unlikely that we see a Baptiste in the lane. Gwen, though, actually coming through for Dynasty. So PT Lam going to be taking that one into the lane. Excited to see how that will do. We've seen very little Gwen this season.
Very little Gwen. I mean, she's not the strongest. And this update is when it comes to carry heroes. Usually you see the Kestrel, you see the Black Feather, but Black Feather off the table already, and Catherine already picked up by G2. It kind of forced Dynasty to go for the Gwen, because if you go Kestrel, the bubble reflecting damage, it could be very devastating. And going up against the Catherine, also your Skedaddle can be very effective for escaping ganks, escaping being locked down, and team fights in general as well.
Yeah, and the Gwen is also, if G2 were looking for the Batiste, you have yourself the Skedaddle to avoid some of that crowd control and try and stick in these fights as they go on. So I'm wondering if G2 are now going to go for that. I feel like because of the Gwen pick, they're being a little bit more hesitant about their final selection.
I would actually love to still see it, because if they're going to go for the Batiste, it's going to be more about protecting the pedal, and the Fearsome Shades with the Catherine crowd control coming out should do a great job of protecting the pedal. Very interesting. Instead, they're going to go with the CP pedal in the jungle, play it as a counter to the Cruel. It does very well in general, and then pick up the Baron for Hundor.
Yeah, we've got the Hundor Baron coming on through. We know how devastating that can be. I want to talk about this lane matchup here. Gwen against Baron is a lane that I don't think we've seen at all this season. How does that matchup pan out?
It's still a matchup that it should actually be fairly even, just because Baron's going to be able to keep his distance. The Gwen has to get very close and multiple times has to be able to get in range and use the Buckshot Bonanza. It has a long range on it, but because of the fact that it's poke, Baron can just start off with a Book of Eulogies early on and be able to survive that poke and harassment and just get to the late game and build up, and should also have a little bit of extra help from the pedal. But the jungle is going to be so important because these rotations up, if Kroll gets there without pedal being available to counter, then they can find those kills very easily.
It's going to be interesting to see first if Gwen is going to be CP or weapon power. If she is weapon power, she can shut down the Baron early on in the lane matchup.
All right, so having to be aggressive early in this lane coming out from PT Line. We'll see if he's got what it takes. Hashtag Vainglory8. Let us know who you are supporting. Can G2 finish this one 2-0, or are we going to have a Dynasty uprising? It's time to pass it over to Jaws and Sean Ostino to find out.
Thanks, guys, once again. Game 2 underway, Sean. But this time, we've got Hundor on one of his most famous picks. He's got his Baron, but he's coming up against PT Lamb's Gwen.
Yeah, PT Lamb's Gwen is going to be... it's an interesting matchup, mostly because we did see... We have actually heard from the desk that there is a range advantage for Baron. He actually has just a 0.1 range advantage as far as I was looking. And but the thing is, with the Buckshot Bonanza, it is going to be up pretty frequently. And we could see that coming out, that Elder Treant is actually getting taken away by Dynasty. So they're already starting off with a good lead, just like last game, though. I feel like this composition coming out G2 is pretty much a protect the Hundor composition. And if they can keep him alive and have this Baron scale to late game, things are going to look pretty good for them.
And look pretty spicy coming into late, but Dark Potato looking to get something done a little early. There's the trampoline, wants to actually steal away this Treant, and it does go over. So G2 off to a flying start already. Didn't manage to secure Elder Treant, however. Keanu did go in the 1v3, and it didn't work out for them this time. But PT Lamb, by the way, is going that Crystal Power road. So that's a lot of poke damage from range. I wonder if Hundor is going to be actually able to sustain in the late game.
Yeah, this is a really dangerous situation for Hundor now. Because we do have a CP Gwen on the fold now, that's going to be a lot more burst damage that's going to be coming out of the Buckshot Bonanzas. So they're going to have to be really, really careful here when Hundor is up in the lane farming. Especially, there's a very interesting interaction too. Ooh, Hundor doing a little bit of poke there on the PT line. Actually, a lot of chunk damage coming down. But Rikameza, if he's able to stay in the bushes, get the Shadows Empower Me perk, and burst down Hundor, slow him up, that's going to make it a very easy target for PT Lamb. And they could even increase the slows with the Buckshot Bonanza as well.
Yeah, that's a scary prospect. Getting slowed down by the buckshot and then instantly getting hit by an ult from Rikameza. Rikameza having a tough time in the jungle right now. Same with Chef is actually going to have to back off. G2 determined to get Hundor ahead has actually rotated him down as well. But Dark Potato is going to secure most of this jungle. Hundor getting off his first recall is going to be able to pick up his first recipe item also. G2 flying start out the gate, but as soon as that level 6 lands, we know what happens. Arden's going to lock you in. You got PT Lamb with that AoE, and then you've got Rikameza who's just going to be wailing on your backline.
Yeah, they have to be really careful once Chef is able to get level 6. Once he throws down those gauntlets, it's going to lock up Hundor. And if he doesn't have a reflex block, if we don't see Keanu Dakoa prioritizing a Crucible, that's going to be really difficult for him to get away. However, if he does, if he does max out his jump jets, that's going to help him as well with ignoring some of that CC that comes out as long as he starts up the jump jets. That'll allow him to get away. But at the same time, if he uses it to kite away, he doesn't use it to get his double auto attacks off. It's going to be really difficult for him to output a lot of damage as well.
That it will. G2 getting lane priority right now. Remember, they are a game up already over Dynasty. Upsets can happen of Dynasty, and teams like Mousesports have proved it in the past, but G2 need to be able to secure this win to at least, well, have a chance to be able to get to Worlds in Singapore. Dynasty, they're starting to rack up that damage. I saw PT Lamb with the buckshot. That took about a third of Hundor's HP, so I'm looking forward to when he gets his first item online, because I want to see how much straight up damage he's actually going to do. And in fact, Hundor picking up a little bit of shielding on this back as well, really aware of how much damage PT Lamb is going to be able to do.
Yeah, really smart move by Hundor to pick up that light shielding. Once he gets to Aegis, it's going to be able to mitigate a lot of that damage. Jungle has intensified now, so the Gold Miner is on the map as well as the Crystal Sentries. But yeah, Hundor, he needs to get that Aegis online, but it's a risky situation because you want to prioritize the shielding, but also you want to be able to put more priority on your weapon power because you are this hyper carry Baron that Hundor is so known for playing. And if he's able to just scale the late game, it's going to be a really difficult time for Dynasty to deal with him.
That's what's so scary when you actually give Hundor something he likes. It turns into a helicopter and just dash over that wall with a jump jet. And that'll be Dynasty Gaming take again half of their HP as that Sora Blade has now been competed from Hundor. PT Lamb picked up a little bit of regeneration in that battery, but remember G2 do have the ability to push these waves extremely quickly and siege up that first tier turret. Now Rika Mezza's trying something a little sneaky. Probably will get, well, he did get spotted out here on the scout trap, so Dark Potato will be able to get the jump on him at least. He's going to pop those boots to be able to get away, but just the rest of G2 are actually going to follow this one up. He's in the wrong place, wrong time, done up by the Merciless Pursuits. Ends up going down without the support of Sheaf or PT Lamb. First blood to G2.
Like you mentioned there, Jaws, a really well-placed scout trap mine was able to spot out Rikameza, and a smart rotation out of G2 to come down and finish him off. Taking him out of position like that and getting first blood is so important to them, and we have a skirmish.
Ace is high, landed on Hundor. He's going to chug that flask. That was really nice from PT Lamb to prevent a little bit of that damage coming out of Hundor. Yanu looking for a stun. Skedaddle will use, and now G2 sieging up this turret. There comes Rikameza though. Hits the From Hell's Heart to Dark Potato, trampolines away. That's the spontaneous combustion to keep himself alive. Also dissuade the rest of Dynasty Gaming as they just siege and take the turret.
So the turret goes over to G2. They have momentum from last game. They have momentum now going into the game. With only 6 minutes in, turret is down. 4 turrets stand between G2 and victory, taking the series and going on to day 2. Hundor, not only does he have a little bit of an edge over Gwen on played by PT Lamb here, but the more he invests into his ion cannon, the more he actually gets for his range for his basic attacks as well. So that's going to increase as we see the game go on, and by late game we're going to be seeing a lot of damage potential from just auto attacks coming out of Hundor. He has picked up the tension bow for his second item, so he's going to have a lot more burst damage. We did see tension bow get a little bit of a buff in 2.9.1 to compensate for a lot of the health that has been increased for base health for heroes. So it's going to be a really crazy thing. Immense gold payout going over to G2, and they're just keeping snowballing this game. 2,500 gold up now.
It's 7 minutes as well. I mean, you can kind of tell just looking at the laners. PT Lamb, he's only got Shatterglass, and Hundor has got 2 items. He's now going to help Rikameza clear out some of this jungle, share a bit of the XP and the bit of gold, but he's forced all the way back. This is where G2 like to play, Sean. So far up that Hundor can get basic attack for a basic attack, just poke down their lane opponent. And that lane opponent's PT Lamb, and with only 1 item and only a little bit of armor, gives G2 the time to do this. Crystal Sentry is going to be their next focus. They're going to take it with ease, and no real response from Dynasty.
really smart move. G2 knew that they were actually all up in the lane, and Dynasty wasn't going to do anything about it. Even though the jungle was pretty much cleared out, they still took advantage and took down that Crystal Sentry. If they're able to do that, eliminate the Crystal Sentry earlier in the game, then they're going to have an easier time pressuring not only the lane from Hundor on this Hyper Baron, but being able to pressure the jungle as well with Baron and Dark Potato on this pedal, who is doing a really good job of kiting away from Rigameza.
Remember, there's a lot on the line for this game. Not only G2's world spot, but Dynasty Gaming potentially going into that challenge battles situation. Dynasty, however, they do have cooldowns on their side. Aces High is available, as well as that Gauntlet and the From Hell's Heart. They've got a lot of potential to lock down a single target, and you best believe that's going to be Hundor in these fights more often than not if they can find him. But I'm sure they'll be happy with someone like Dark Potato as well. But they just need to be able to land, and they need to find these team fights. G2 doing a good job now of just holding on to this lead. They know they don't necessarily need to go for an all-in engagement. They are just actually just going to take this Crystal Sentry straight off the spawn.
Yeah, this is going to be the second life for that Crystal Sentry. Oh man, Dynasty Gaming, things are looking pretty grim for them, but it looks like we got a little reverse situation in the mustache bushes here.
Yeah, although Rick and Mez are just walking down. Nice rotation actually from G2 again, playing on the fact that they know they're ahead, and Dynasty Gaming know they aren't at full strength in order to fight them. They were to walk down the lane, clear the wave out, and that resulted in no damage going on to their first tier turret.
There's a really interesting dynamic here, Jaws. It's actually going in between the two teams. We don't see too much crowd control coming out of Kiana and Nakoa. We do see potentially double Blast Tremor. We see Merciless Pursuit as well. That is up very often. But if he's able to take that Merciless Pursuit and put it onto PT Lamb, then we actually do see the skedaddle that could get PT Lamb out of trouble. And let's see if he uses it now. No, he doesn't.
Yeah, get out of jail Fury card. Not used just yet. Maybe waiting for another stun to come through, although no fountain. Oh, hang on a second. That was an Aces High just going a little bit wide. G2, they might see this as an opportunity to go in. PT Lamb taking a lot of damage, is actually forced to pop that flask, and even a spontaneous combustion use from Dark Potato as well. Okay, that's not the biggest cooldown in the world, obviously just about 35 seconds at this point, but a cooldown nonetheless. G2 now take that opportunity once again to take away some of Dynasty's jungle. And you look at the CS differential as well. Dark Potato, 61 CS at this current moment in time. Rikameza, 40. 20 CS lead for Dark Potato, and that's not even mentioning the lane as well. They are very much even at this current moment in time, but Rikameza trying to be one of these frontline tanks against Hundor with the limited items as gold that he's actually been able to acquire. That's going to leave him a much more vulnerable target.
Yeah, it's a really difficult situation that I feel Rikameza actually has been placed in, because we know that these Cruels, they want to be the bruisers, they want to be able to soak up a lot of damage and distract a lot. PT Lamb is the hyper carry here, and Gwen does not steal away that gold miner. It does go over to G2.
And they take that one under their belts. That's the second one for them now in a row. Dynasty Gaming not even having an ear in here. It's very hard for them to actually even find an engagement, even though they've got these engage tools. G2 playing extremely well, although saying that, From Hell's Heart does land on the back line. Aces High does rickle through and does hit one member. It's going to be Kiana Nakoa, but look at that damage coming out from Hundor already. Iron Cannon's going to come down and finish him off for the kill. Jump jets forward, PT Lamb in a lot of trouble. Look at that grit from Hundor. 500 into a 500 damage rocket, and he finishes off PT Lamb, and that'll be Dark Potato using that trampoline to find the last basic attack on Chef. G2 find an ace on what was so most certainly going to be a Dynasty engagement win.
Oh man, even when the gauntlet came down, I was thinking to myself, oh yeah, Dynasty's got this in the bag. But no, these crits out of Hundor are just amazing. The Sentry is eliminated now, Jaws, just like what we were talking about. At 11 minutes, 45 seconds in, it is gone, and all the jungle now belongs to G2. The pressure in the jungle, the pressure in the lane is just immense, and the kiting ability that's coming out of both Hundor and Dark Potato is something to behold. We do see a Tyrant's Monocle actually picked up by Hundor now. So you saw those crits earlier. It's going to be even more critical strike damage now coming out of Hundor. And the way he finished off Chef when he was going away, even with his Vanguard, bursted him down so much that one shot from Dark Potato was able to finish him off.
Yeah, the Munions chased him down. Dark Potato says thank you very much. Or in fact, the Munions finished him off. It wasn't even a basic attack, like I said. Oh man, it always feels bad when you get killed by a Munion. But G2 now 4-0 with a 3k gold lead. Oh no, sorry, 7k gold lead. I misread that completely. If it was 3k at this point, I'd be quite surprised. But Hundor 3-0. Oh boy, I bet he's happy with the fact that he can play a lot more Baron because they know how to play around it so perfectly. And Dynasty, they are so crippled. It feels, even if they get a perfect engagement, like you mentioned a couple of minutes ago, or look, straight on top of Hundor, it's so hard for them to find a fight, although he does jump straight onto PT Lamb. There comes the Gauntlet, stuns him up. Ion Cannon's going to come down and obliterate PT Lamb. I don't know where he stands in this game. Can't walk up, can't be farther back because Hundor's going to jump on you and kill you. That'll be another kill for Hundor. Did manage, I think, Rikomeza got the Crystal Century. So he trades 2 kills, gets the Crystal Century. G2 find another 2, and that's Hundor on a 5-0 streak.
Rekomeza, it's, trying to do some counter jungling here and taking the Crystal Sentry. I don't know if it was worth it though, because giving up the turret and losing 2 of your team members, it's not necessarily the best net gain for them. We do see this gold mine. Looks like it's going to be going over to G2, going to increase their ever-growing gold lead. If you look at the score lines for G2, the KDAs rather, 0-0-5 for Keanu Nakoa, 1-0-3 for Dark Potato, and 5-0-1 for Hundor. There's almost 100% kill participation here for them. They have 0-6 kills right now for G2. Things are looking so good for them. It's just a steamroll at this point.
You're an EU fan, this is how you want your teams to show up at Worlds, and G2 are making a statement right now. They are ready and raring to go to fight for that World spot. And Dynasty, they might be in the Challenge Battles position as well here, Sean. This could be the final game for them if they don't find a perfect engage. But even then, with Hundor now at 4 items, double monocle, he's got an infusion, he's got tier 1 boots, because who needs boots when you can jump in and just 2-shot their front line? I mean, right now, 15 minutes approaching the clock. I mean, are we going to see another single crack and push victory here, Sean? It seems to be that way.
It seems to be that way, and if we're approaching when the Kraken is going to respawn, if this next team fight goes the way of G2, and they're being so sneaky right now, I love it. Both teams are trying to find each other. They could necessarily win this game even without the Kraken. I feel like they could just go ahead and take the aggression, and there's more aggression.
Well, there you go. There's another couple of crits. Chief going extremely low. Hundor's going to be able to jump forward another couple of seconds from Hell's Heart. Does land, and the Kraken's been started up as well. And now PT Lamb has the opportunity to get back into this fight. Chief takes a little bit too much damage. Has to for the flask. Hundor backing off, trying to get away from Rikomeza. Jumps straight over the wall. He's still alive somehow. Dark Potato and Keanu are going to be able to dissuade another re-engage here from Dynasty. Nice block on from Hell's Heart on Dark Potato. Does use that reflex ball, but that does leave Chief all alone. Chef ends up falling, and that'll be G2 finding 1, and that could very well be the Kraken as well.
Yeah, really smart move by Hundor actually to jump over that wall to avoid all the damage that was coming on. You don't want to be a Baron fighting in narrow corridors if they're able to get up in your face. And him just jumping over the wall like that, using those auto attacks, and in addition, the Kraken's on the leash for them. G2, oh man, it's looking so strong right now.
This is almost looking like a perfect game apart from that Crystal Sentry going down earlier. Rikomeza was determined to make sure G2 didn't have that one. Like you said, that Kraken is now roaming down the lane. G2 are looking and setting their sights onto day number 2, where they will face SK Gaming if they end this game in the next couple of minutes. A 10,000 gold lead at 16. This is G2 showing up and playing it to their strength and win condition. Hundor, the true hyper carry we know he can be, has stepped up, and oh boy does he look good.
Boy, he looks good. This choke point turret's getting wailed on by the Kraken now. We see double shatter glass for Dark Potato here. Those minions are going to be hitting pretty good, and they're going to be very tanky. It's going to be very difficult to deal with them. Hundor goes in.
There's the jump jet. The blast tremor does only hit 1, but that might just be enough. A nice stun onto PT Lamb. Has to use those boosts and skedaddle to get out of there. And Hundor almost one-shots him as he makes his way back to the base for some more healing. G2 playing it low and slow for the time being. Remember, Hundor's splash damage is a lot at this point in the game. That Gauntlet's going to separate them, but that Ion Cannon doing a lot of damage. Hundor jumps forward. Can't quite find the executing kill on PT Lamb. Rikomeza trying to chase after him right now, but there's just too much gap between them. He ends up finishing them off and out is a 2v3, but Hundor makes it look easy. PT Lamb once again running for his life back to the base, and G2 now just focusing on that crystal. They want to face SK. They want to be able to go to Worlds. That is still on the line for them. They take the series 2-0.
Oh, really well done by G2. This is why they are one of the two titans, the G2 Giants of such smart plays. Hundor 8-0-1 on this Baron. This hyper carry, what he is known for, doing so much work here. Just when you think he's going low and Rickameza is going to get himself a kill, no, he's just going to kite away and burst him down. That is what we know Hundor for, and congratulations to G2 making it into the semifinals.
What a build from Keanu as well, just saying. You go clockwork, aftershock, he wants that all the on hit, just wants to be able to take down Dynasty as quick as possible. And they did just that. And now they go to face SK, like you said, in the semis. That is going to be such a crazy game tomorrow. And that is going to have their world spot on the line. Because if SK do win that match, they go straight to Worlds. And that'll be G2 gone. So that is going to be a very close one. And to break down that series even more, although what left of the series that is after 17 minutes, we have Munch and the guys on the desk.
Another quick series going away. It's another 2-0, and G2 stand victorious at the end of all of that. And what a series.